We all love the holidays until they are over. If you tend to stress just a bit about the holidays because you're afraid to undo all your hard work, then you came to the right place. I will share with you 15 tips that will allow you to create the perfect balance between enjoyment and accountability for the holidays or any extended vacation period. Also, if you like hot chocolate and breakfast sandwiches, then make sure to check out the timestamps below because I'm gonna share with you how to do a tasty, low calorie and very filling hot chocolate as well as a breakfast protein sandwich. This is my favorite breakfast sandwich to make. It has sausage, eggs, cheese, and French toast bread, and it's high in protein. I don't currently have a name for it, so if you could help me think of a good name. If not, until the meantime, we're gonna call it the Mac Protein. But first, if you're new to my channel, my name is Daniel, and my passion is to help people achieve their ideal body image and health through simple habit changes. And one of those is teaching you how to have a healthy relationship with food, because that is one of the most important things that you will need to keep the weight off after you've lost it. Okay, so tip number one is plan for it. Put it on your calendar and be aware that this holiday or vacation is coming up. There is a quote that summarizes this tip perfectly, and that is, the first step towards change is awareness. The second step is acceptance, which brings us to tip number two, which is acceptance. Know that you are going to mess up. Know that you will treat yourself. Know that that is your weekend to enjoy to yourself and be okay with it. Being aware that you will take a couple of steps back and being aware that you're gonna put your goals on pause for that weekend makes you more responsible. And you know how our brains work. When you know that you can't have something, you want more of it. So it's liberating to go in there knowing that, hey, this is my day to treat myself. Tip number three is the weight cushion. Give yourself a number of how much you're going to allow yourself to gain. You heard that right. Have a number of pounds that you're going to allow yourself to gain during this holiday. So this is a good addition to the previous tip because again, you're being responsible. Even if it's a little bit of a negative boundary, you're at least setting some sort of boundary. Now, you don't want to overdo it. So a good rule of thumb is to do 3% of your weight. Now, the goal here isn't to try and hit that max, but again, you're at least setting that boundary of a number that you're not going to allow yourself to go over. Now, my disclaimer here is that I'm not encouraging that you should try and gain weight during the holidays, but rather to better plan for them. Body transformation goals can be very discouraging if you don't make it past the holidays the way that you thought that you would. Holidays really are the origin story of the villain known as yo-yo dieting. So the goal here really is also to teach you to build the proper habits for the future. And if you currently are on that weight loss or fat loss journey, this is to help you stay motivated. Tip number four is a 3-day rule. This means that 3 days prior to the holiday, you are going to drop the amount of food that you're eating every single day. But you don't want to overdo it. You want to do about 20% of the current amount that you're eating. So if you're tracking your calories and you're currently eating, let's say 2,000 calories, then the 3 days leading up to that holiday, you're gonna eat 1,600 calories. If you're doing low carb or you're counting your carbohydrates, and just drop your carbs. And what this is going to do, it's gonna help you with that weight cushion of how much weight you're going to allow yourself to gain during that holiday, but also you're gonna be coming in with a little bit of a deficit. Now, again, it's very important that you don't overdo this. You don't wanna go into the holiday super hungry because you spend 2 days starving yourself. Again, don't overdo it. Just drop your calories 20-30% maximum 3 days prior to that holiday. Tip number 5 is heavy on the weight training. One of the biggest things that I advocate on this channel for lifelong weight loss, if you want to effortlessly keep the weight off and continue to improve your body as time goes on, is you need to lift weights. And the goal here, if your goal isn't to be extremely muscular, that's okay. But what muscle does is it increases your metabolism. The best way to put this is, if you put on 1 pound of lean muscle mass, your body is going to burn an additional 40 to 70 calories because of that pound of muscle. So again, muscle increases your metabolism. So if you put this in the short term, from a short-term frame, you know, leading up to the holidays, you want to go into the holiday or the cheat weekend with your muscles needing repair, with your muscles needing nourishment, because all those extra calories are gonna go to that muscle repair because of the increased metabolism. All right, so we're starting to get a little bit more tactical. Now we are on the day of the holiday. So tip number 6 is diminish your sugar cravings by drinking plenty of fluids throughout the day. There are 2 things that we're doing with this specific tip. The first one is by drinking a lot of fluids throughout the day, you're staying satiated, and that is going to suppress your hunger signals for the rest of the evening. Number 2, if you're drinking things like sugar-free Gatorades, sugar-free teas, low-calorie hot chocolate like the one I'm gonna show you how to make later today, or coffee with sugar-free creamer and stevia, that is going to reduce your urge or your need or your want for sugary stuff or dessert later on. Yes, you're still gonna enjoy yourself, but it's very likely that you're only going to be having dessert once, whereas before you were having it 2 or 3 times. Tip number 7, sneak in healthier alternatives. So this one applies more if you're cooking or you're helping cook. When I say that you're going to sneak in healthier alternatives at dinner, I'm not exactly saying that you're going to make, you know, chicken breast with roasted broccoli and low-calorie gravy as the main course. I'm saying more like the little things. For example, instead of doing regular Coke, you are doing Diet Coke. Instead of doing butter, you do I can't believe it's not butter. If you're in charge of baking cookies, you could do half sugar and half stevia. So you're finding ways to reduce the calorie intake a little bit. So the main thing here is that you don't want to go overboard and try to like make it into a healthy meal, but just little things here and there. And not only is it going to benefit you, but it's also going to benefit your family or whoever it is that you're cooking for, because they're going to be eating a little bit healthier. So again, tip number 7 is make sure that you sneak in healthy alternatives. Tip number 8 is one of my favorite tips to share with you, because this is a golden rule that I stick to, and I really like this one because this is something that you could also use for when you go to a family barbecue or when you go to a buffet. And so tip number 8 is make sure that your first plate is protein and vegetables only. Finish that, and then you can go and have whatever you want. This is essentially going to make sure that the first thing that you're consuming is something more nourishing and more productive for your body transformation goal. But aside from that, it's gonna help control your hunger, because protein is very satiating and vegetables are very satiating. So once you clear that plate full of 8 to 10 ounces of turkey, for example, on Thanksgiving with the Brussels sprouts, once you finish that, then hey, you can have more turkey with stuffing or turkey with mashed potatoes. But once you do that, you're going to control your appetite a lot better. So again, tip number 8, make sure that you clear a plate full of protein and vegetables first before moving on to the other stuff. Tip number 9 is it's okay to go back for seconds. It's your night, treat yourself, enjoy it. Tip number 10 is if there's leftovers, spread them throughout the week. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is that when they save leftovers or they take them home, which it's absolutely okay, is that they have those leftovers right immediately. And so what happens is you have the leftovers and then you start fresh the next day. And so it makes that transition from going to a enjoyable, treating yourself, no restrictions night, to going back to your diet, back to your plan. It makes that transition a little bit more shocking for you. So what you want to do is you want to spread those leftovers throughout the week. Now here's an example. If you're from the South, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. But let's say that you took home 6 tamales. Instead of eating those 6 tamales the next day, spread them out, throughout the week. So let's say that, Monday you have 1 tamale with your steak and avocado. On Tuesday, you have another one with your scrambled eggs. On Wednesday, with your lunch or whatever. So you want to spread out your leftovers throughout the week. All right, so the following tips are a little bit more applicable if your holiday or your vacation is longer than 1 day. You can still apply them if it's just for the 1 day, but again, more applicable for longer than 1 day. So tip number 11 is do not make a New Year's resolution on this goal. These never work. If this body transformation goal is something that you're serious about, then you know that there is nothing special about one specific day. But if you do believe that once the new year starts, you are going to be able to stay on track and that's when you're going to be able to achieve your body goal, then I'm sorry to break it to you, but chances are that you're probably just doing this for that specific day and not for the rest of your life. Because if you're not motivated right now, if you don't want it right now, when the magic of the New Year's resolution wears off, 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later, you're going to feel exactly the way you feel right now. And in that case, there is no accountability, because we blame the day, because we wait for the specific date. And the thing is, it's okay to take a day, a weekend, or even a week off. I mean, as long as you're following the tips that we're talking about. But don't make your goal depend on a specific date, because that way you will never take responsibility. If this is something that you're serious about and you're watching this on right after Thanksgiving, start right away. If you're watching this on December 26th, start right away. Don't wait on that specific date. Prove to yourself that this is something that you're serious about, because by the time that New Year's come, you're gonna be 5 pounds ahead, you're gonna be 10 pounds ahead. And this is how you build that motivational momentum. This is how you build that self-accountability and that empowerment within yourself. So start early. Don't wait any longer on your goals. If you're ready, start right away. Tip number 12, make sure that you're weighing yourself every single day. You want to ensure that you're keeping tabs on how much weight you're gaining every single day. So if you are getting close to hitting that ceiling, that 3% weight cushion that we talked about, then you can take it back a little bit. You can continue to weigh yourself even 1 or 2 times a day so that you know where you're at. So that is the importance of the 3% rule that we talked about with tip number 3. So again, if you are vacationing or the holidays longer than 1 day, this is where enjoyment meets accountability. Be accountable, make sure that you're weighing yourself every day so that you know where you stand going into the next meal. Tip number 13 is implement a structured eating window. If you want to know a little hack on how to not gain a lot of weight during vacations or during holidays, it's this one right here. You want to set a structured eating window where during those 8 to 10 hours, that's where you have permission to have food. But anywhere outside of those hours, you're not allowed to eat or consume any calories. You can drink sugar-free drinks or 0-calorie beverages like water, but there is no eating. So this particular tip is about providing awareness. It's about you taking that internal responsibility and telling yourself, okay, Thanksgiving Day on Thursday from 3 to 11 p.m. those are my hours to enjoy myself. But anything before that, anything after that, I am being responsible and I'm not consuming any calories. Assuming that your holiday is 3 days, like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can use Friday and Saturday as the days where you set your structured eating window for later in the day, maybe from 3 to 11 p.m. or when the family gatherings are happening. So it would be wise to set your eating window during the later hours. And on Sunday, you can do it a little bit differently, where it's very likely that you're meeting people for lunch or breakfast and you want to go to one of your favorite breakfast places. Then you can set your structured eating window in the morning from like 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. And after 2 p.m., you're just simply done with eating for that day. So it's very important that also when you go on any extended vacation trips, that you implement this rule, because again, this is going to help you be more mindful and aware of the stuff or the additional stuff that you were not being mindful of previously that causes a lot of excess weight gain. Tip number 14, I feel like this is where half of you are really gonna feel me and the other half are not even gonna know what I'm talking about. But tip number 14 is do not mention to other people you are dieting or trying to lose weight unless they already know. It makes things more uncomfortable when you know that people know that you're trying to lose weight. And like I said earlier, you're either really gonna feel me on this one or you're not. But it just feels like there's always eyes on you. You feel that people are kind of like judging you as, you know, to see what food choices you're making, or even the comments that they make, you know, that are kind of like playful but also like passive aggressive. And it just you kind of feel like you're not really enjoying yourself. So instead, play aloof and mention that you're taking a break, which technically you are. Let the results speak for themselves. But for that specific gathering, it's just going to relieve a lot of the pressure and you're going to feel more comfortable applying all of the tips that we've talked about today. So Again, don't mention anything to anybody about your dieting around the holiday. All right, so our final tip is the most important tip, and this is the most essential of all the tips that I've mentioned earlier. So I would even advise that you write it down, you put it as a reminder, get a pen and paper out and write this down. Tip number 15 is subscribe to my channel. Every time that you watch a video, I promise you that you're going to learn something new. And if you've made it to this far, I just want to say congratulations. I am very proud of you. And if nobody's told you recently, you are doing a fantastic job with your body transformation goal. The fact that you finished the video and you watched all the tips proves to yourself that you are serious about this. So again, great job. Keep it that way. I did promise a low-calorie hot chocolate and the Mac protein. So we are going to start with the low-calorie hot chocolate, and then we're going to go into the Mac protein. Enjoy. So for the cinnamon hot chocolate, you're only going to need a few ingredients, and with these ingredients you can make up to 5 or 6 hot chocolates. So this is something good to have in your fridge or in your cabinet for whenever you do get those late night sweet cravings and you still want to keep it healthy. So the first ingredient is going to be Hershey's Cocoa Special Dark Chocolate Powder, some type of sugar substitute like erythritol or stevia, or these type of packets that I have right here, 1 cup of unsweetened almond milk, and cinnamon. And at this point, really all you're going to do is just add the ingredients. You're going to do 1 cup of the unsweetened almond milk. You're going to add 1 tablespoon of the Hershey's dark chocolate powder. Then you're going to add about half a teaspoon of cinnamon. You're going to throw that into the microwave for 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Once your drink comes out, you're just going to stir thoroughly. Then you're going to add your sugar substitute. And if you don't mind an extra 10 or 15 calories, which I don't think you should, you can add a little bit of heavy whipped cream. Now, I will admit that for the purposes of the thumbnail, I did add a little bit extra more of everything here just to make it pop out. Alright, get ready for what's about to become your favorite Saturday morning treat, the Mac protein or the high protein breakfast sandwich. Yeah. Now here, you're only going to need a few ingredients, and this is just like the hot chocolate in that it's super simple to make, but it is going to take a little bit longer to prepare. But it's totally worth it. It should take you no more than 20 minutes to make. So here I have all the ingredients that you're going to need, and we're going to start with a low-calorie bread, and you want to look for the Delightful brand. This one is 45 calories per slice, and total is only going to be 3 grams of net carb for 2 slices. Next, you're going to get the all-natural Butterball turkey sausage, and you want to look for this specific brand because this one is 50% less fat, and as you can tell, this one is 10 grams of protein. Next, you're going to need 2 to 4 eggs, and I'll explain to you here in a bit how you decide if you want to use 2 or 4 eggs. Next, you're going to need 5 to 6 slices of deli shaved honey ham. Now, although I wouldn't recommend that you have honey ham every single day, you can use it occasionally because it can be high protein. Final ingredient is going to be square cheese, and there's nothing special about this particular cheese other than it was the lowest calorie cheese that I could find. So if you could find something lower than 30 calories, you're good. But if you use something that's about 50 or 60 calories, then you've probably gone a little too high. And a little bit of garlic salt if needed, and some cooking spray. Alright, so the first step is to preheat your pan, add a little bit of cooking spray. Then you're going to crack 2 eggs. You're going to whisk them thoroughly. Add a little bit of garlic salt. Then you're going to coat your bread on the egg, and this is what's going to make the sandwich or the bread. The next step is to put your bread on the pan, and it should only take about 4 to 5 minutes per side on medium high. The next step is to get your other proteins ready. And as you can tell from here, the bread is pretty much ready. You kind of want to look for that browning on both sides just to make sure that it's thoroughly cooked. Then you're going to remove them from the pan so that way they can cool down for a little bit. And this is a part where I said you could use 2 to 4 eggs. In my case, I did want extra eggs because I'm going to eat a little bit more protein and because I want to save some for later. But in your case, if you just want to use the 2 that you whisk, that's fine. But if you're going to use more than that, I would recommend that if you use a 3rd or 4th egg, then only keep it to the egg whites. In my case, I did 3 whole eggs plus 1 egg white. And as you're going to be able to tell, this is going to be huge. So I'm only going to use half of this for the sandwich. And like I said, I'm going to save this for later. So this is part of like how I meal prep and have food ready so that I don't rely on fast food or on healthier options as much. And if you have trouble cooking omelets or making eggs like this, then just kind of pay attention to this part so that you can kind of see what I'm doing with the spatula so that it can cook evenly. Once the egg is finished, I'm going to put it on the bread. And so the next step is going to be to cook the other proteins, and it should take you about 8 to 9 minutes to fully cook the meats. Now, although this sandwich is really high in protein and it's really low carb, my disclaimer here is that it is a little bit higher in fat, and it's primarily because of things like the sausage, the cheese, and the egg yolk. However, if you wanted to make this a little bit lower fat and make it into an even healthier meal, you can remove things like the sausage or only use one sausage or not use the cheese. So again, you can adjust accordingly, or you can just use egg whites for the middle part of the sandwich for the egg. So there's many ways that you can adjust it, but if you have it this way, just keep in mind that it's going to be a little bit higher in fat. It's still going to be better than any other sandwich you get at another breakfast place, and it's going to be very filling, very delicious, and like I said, it's super addicting. And once your proteins are fully cooked, just put them in the sandwich, cut the sandwich in half. Personally, I like to add a little bit of cinnamon. I didn't do it here, but that's something that I would recommend if you kind of prefer a more sweet breakfast. But other than that, you are pretty much finished. Enjoy your sandwich.